Nathan, how have things gone for you this past week? You've been a traveling man.
Yeah, they call me John Denver around here. Yeah, that's a John Denver song, right?
Yeah, no, good joke.
Okay, good. I nailed it.
I mean, maybe. I'm not the biggest Denver head, so I assumed that you were spinning a reference that you were close to.
Yeah, I'm really more sure of it just because it was sampled in a Mos Def song.
Okay, and I would only be sure of it if he at some point sang it with the Muppets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm doing good. I've just been, traveling, watching some TV specials, getting pumped for tonight,
Well, I figured you've been doing all of this traveling from place to place. You would want to see a nice little road movie to kind of continue the theme of everything you've been going through, seeing this great nation of ours.
Yeah, I'm loving that you're calling this a road movie.
This is one of the classic road movies. It's up there with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
And Road Trip.
Road Trip. Euro Trip.
Yeah.
Euro Trip 2, Still Trippin'. I'm assuming that's a movie. Because today we are talking about a movie from 1984. We're going back into the Star Wars on TV universe with a little movie called Caravan of Courage, an Ewok Adventure.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited. This one is near and dear to my heart.
And me as well. Now, of course, we are talking about the Ewoks, the most controversial thing that George Lucas has ever put in a movie. Yes, even more than that scene in the special editions where Greedo turns to the camera and does a speech about abortion rights for 5 minutes.
Hold on. Even more than freaking Jar Jar Binks.
Even more than the scene where Jabba the Hutt is wearing a big Let's Go Brandon shirt.
He digitally altered that.
Points to it and licks his lips and wiggles his eyebrows.
Like that. Never mind, go on. I was going to reference a comedian that is not referenceable. Necessarily.
Okay. Well, if you want to hear that reference, of course, hit Nathan up on TikTok and he will send you that very funny joke that he just swallowed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our Patreon. We've been trying to think of a way to make good money off this. Maybe we write down all of the After Dark jokes. Right?
Ooh, After Dark. I like that. Like USA After Dark.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right. It's us and Gilbert Gottfried. After Dark.
Yeah. And some big blonde chested woman or something. What was her name?
Jeremy, get in the wig. Of course, because in the booth, we are back with producer Jeremy. Producer Jeremy, we've been away from you for too long when you were out on assignment in Chile. I can say where you were now. You were in South America doing undercover reporting. How does it feel to be back?
Good. And
with Vice?
I cracked the case. So
yes, he was doing a report with Vice on dildos in indigenous people. Yeah. He was doing a thing on the dankest kush you can get in a refugee camp.
Let me tell you, found it.
Yeah. And also, he did an expose on the old man in the David Lee Roth video.
Is that a Vice thing?
I'm always reading stories on them, like finding like I think I just read one about the wedding, the cake scene in November Rain, where a guy runs through a cake.
Oh yes, sure. Oh, they found the cake guy. Yeah. What a scoop! I'm glad that they're keeping up their journalistic integrity.
Yeah, I found his connection with Marxism. So
yeah, nice.
And of course, you are listening to what else? But you're listening to Network Special, the only podcast you need if you want to hear about the golden age of appointment-based television, things that you used to have to watch when they were on TV, but now thanks to the magic of the internet, we can watch these things again and again. My name is Zachariah, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, who?
Yanni Nathan.
Old YN himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course, we were exaggerating for the purposes of humor, as we both love being funny on this show. And you love laughing, as our loudest critics love to complain about. I like when people listen to a comedy podcast and then they complain that we are laughing at things that we say.
I know. Apparently, I laugh at everything.
Well,
anything.
Everything I say is very funny. But you're listening to Cooter and the Noob. Uh-oh, looks like Nathan has to drink from the fart funnel.
You know what I can't stand is listening to two podcasts where people are enjoying themselves.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, all joking aside, the Ewoks were for a long time like maybe the most hated thing in the Star Wars movies, because by the time the third movie, Return of the Jedi, rolled around in 1983, it had been almost 10 years of fever pitch Star Wars mania in America, and everyone was getting a little tired of seeing everything in their field of vision branded with a lightsaber or with Darth Vader's face. Thank goodness we moved out of those times, huh? So by the time the third movie rolled around and they revealed that the new characters would be Ewoks, cuddly little teddy bear-like things that almost looked like little stuffed animals that you could go and buy on the shelves. I've read articles written at the time, or even in the middle of like criticism of the movie at the time of release. They all have worked in like, and of course, the newest planned toy sensation, these Ewoks, literal teddy bears, come walking into the movie, and everybody just kind of said, this is too much. We don't like it. It's too cutesy. And it was a big fan gripe for a long time. Mm-hmm. However, kids loved the Ewoks because Ewoks are as tall as children. And they kind
sometimes.
And they kind of act like kids. And so they were a hit with them regardless. And you know who didn't get tired of the Ewoks after the release of the movie was old Georgie Porgy himself, George Lucas.
And me, baby, me.
Oh, I loved the Ewoks. I had all their little action figures. I would draw a Wicket.
Did you have their fort?
I did. I had the Ewok treehouse. Mm-hmm. Boy, what a toy! Those giant trees, and you could put your Han Solo figure on a little spit over a fire and pretend to roast him. There was a little net where you could pick everyone up. Mm-hmm. What else could you do with that thing?
Wasn't there an elevator in there?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe?
There was the little elevator. You could take Princess Leia
and it's
for a
also
ride.
Isn't it also the setting for the entrance to Star Tours at Disney World or at Hollywood Studios?
You know it is, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
And later that playset was remade for the next blockbuster movie of our time, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. They re-released the Ewok Village and slapped some plastic leaves on the top of it and called it Sherwood Forest. And it sat on shelves for a long, long time.
I'm sure.
There was a period of time where you could get all the Robin Hood action figures your poor little arms could carry for about $1. Now,
and now
of
they're
course,
worth $1 million each.
Now they're at least $1.25.
Yeah, right.
So here's the deal. George Lucas had gotten pretty burned on Star Wars on television when he put out the last thing that we reviewed in the Star Wars universe on this show, which was the Star Wars Holiday Special, because he said afterwards, B. Arthur singing a sort of like Borscht Belt Broadway tune in the middle of the cantina was maybe not what he had in mind when he envisioned an expanded universe. But he did not want to abandon his core idea that when you make a TV special, you center it around people in fur costumes speaking a language no one understands.
Yes.
We had it with the Wookiees in the Star Wars Holiday Special when Itchy, Lumpy, and Mala, of course, yelled and screamed and shrieked at each other in a seemingly endless way.
And spanked it.
And now, of course, we've replaced that with Deej, Weechie, Whittle, Chuckatrock, Kane, Shodu, Logray, and Wicket W. Warwick himself, the lovable Ewoks.
Now, had he done Willow yet?
No, Willow was years later.
Okay.
The guy who plays Wicket, his name is Warwick Davis, one of the most kind of prolific little person actors. He was 14 when he made this, and he was probably about 12 or 13 when he made Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Almost all the actors who were playing Ewoks in Return of the Jedi are in this as well. I was looking over the movie credits of all the Ewok actors in this, and I'll tell you, I've heard interviews with little person actors, and they will say, obviously it is tough to get roles, but it's also tough in the fact that whenever you're hired, it's almost like you're getting hired as a special effect. Maybe you're not getting stuffed into a costume, but at the very least, your height will be what your character centers around. There's very few parts for little people where that's not like, it's not almost used as a gross like shock factor. I think there's less of it now, but it's still pretty rare.
And this was after Return of the Jedi, right? Because we already knew what these were.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi was 1983, and this came out the next year, November 25th, 1984.
Have there been Ewoks since?
I think we see them celebrating at the end of the third prequel when everybody's jumping around and dancing to New Age music. And then after that, are there Ewoks? I'm going to say I don't remember them being in any more movies. Now that I've said that, everyone's going to send me screenshots of when an Ewok walks by in some scene in that space casino.
I know. Are they... I'm trying to think. Like, the last time I saw any kind of, like, mention of Ewoks was... I don't know how... If you didn't grow up with those... I mean, I guess if you just watch Star Wars, you just always know from Return of the Jedi. So there's no chance of you not knowing what they are if you're a Star Wars person. Now, no matter what age you become a Star Wars person.
I think so. I mean, yeah, right?
Right.
They seem like there's a kind of a flattening of history that they're trying to do with Star Wars where everything is treated on the same level. So I think if kids get into Star Wars, they're probably just watching anything that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
By the way, this is our first Disney Plus streaming available show that you don't have to go digging through. No? Wait, what was
Musketeers.
Oh my God.
Musketeers.
God.
And also the Star Wars special, kind of.
If you have like 2 minutes of it. God,
but the Musketeers one.
I forgot about the Musketeers because the Musketeers has actual 70s ad breaks in it.
Wait,
so insane.
Fuzzbucket's on there too, right?
Is it? Oh, yeah.
I think Fuzzbucket's on there.
God, they're also low rent and terrible looking transfers. I just put them in the YouTube universe in my brain. Fact checked. Busted.
Have you... this is Ewok related, but not related to the show. Have you seen the clip of the Good Morning America where the Ewoks... it's like a Halloween special, I think, and they get a couple of actors to come in and play Ewoks and just kind of hang out on set while they're doing the live feeds. And it's clear that one of these guys is drunk. Like a couple of these Ewok actors are drunk because they're like At one
because
point,
they're
like,
throwing up out of their costumes.
At one point, they're like one guy starts moonwalking and doing all the crotch moves from Michael Jackson, and he gets on the ground, he's humping the ground, and they're like picking them up to stop them from and then they start humping Al Roker's leg, I think. and one of them, then they start getting into a fight and they're doing like karate kicks at each other. It is wild.
Now, do you think they got actual Ewoks? And that's just them acting out?
Oh, you think real Ewoks
I think
from
they were maybe real
the moon of
Ewok.
Endor?
Yes.
I mean, that's highly possible, I guess, in these days. With with all the Elon Musks and the Bezos in the world going up to going up to space,
I wouldn't put anything past them. Elon Musk, he's got Ewoks in the basement.
I'm 100% certain he's made it to Endor.
These Ewoks, I'm not a fan of the special editions. I'm not a fan of going in and changing effects on movies. Just I think you should let them be. That being said, my child brain forgot. It's kind of creepy when you're looking at a prolonged close-up of these Ewok masks because they don't blink and the mouths don't really move. And they haven't put lids on the eyeballs. So the Ewoks just have this wild-eyed 1,000-yard stare and their little unbrushed buck teeth, their big hollowed-out piggy nostrils.
And you can see the seams on their outfits.
Yeah, if they sit down and you see the bottoms of their feet, you see the two little like seams that connect the feet together.
And also like either on their stomach or their back, it kind of looks like they've had like surgery. Just the tiniest like. But then there's also a baby one that looks hideous.
Oh, the little puppet. It looks like a baby chimp, basically.
It looks like a ghoulie.
Or it looks like the cover of the Weekly World News where it would be like, man monkey baby found in cave.
Yeah.
And I also assume, I had a person ask like, why do they all wear like those little shawls? And it just occurred to me, it's so you don't see the neck seam. That's why they're wearing them. It's just to cover up their neck.
And also when the baby like makes a noise, like the whole face, like whenever it's like talking, like its mouth is moving, the whole face is being crunched in because it's the puppet and it's the whole face is the puppet. So like the nose is crunched down on top of the lip.
It's like those rubber finger puppets with the 4 holes that you get like out of a vending machine and you stick your finger in the wacky face.
Yeah.
But you could tell the actors had figured out, I can get some more life out of this mask if I stick my tongue through the mouth hole and the teeth and kind of like flick it back and forth, which looks revolting when you see a close up of his face and then like a real slimy tongue emerges from those weird little butthole lips they have.
Yeah, it's if you're just like casually glancing at them, they're super cute. But if you just take a moment to examine them, they're hideous.
Well, I was watching this with a person who really was not familiar with the Ewoks, and they kept saying ew when they came on screen. This is definitely a great example of how clarity in HD can be a huge detriment to your production if you don't have the right tools, because watching this, you need like that fuzziness. You need that tar on the screen from grandma smoking in the house, kind of covering things up and covering a multitude of sins.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, like, what did you think about the scenery, the sets and stuff?
Most of this is filmed in the budget-saving manner, which is you film it in the redwoods of California, which is where they shot a lot of Return of the Jedi. So, that stuff looks nice. They're in big national forests. Yeah. The other stuff, I like the little hut sets. When you get into things like the caves, it gets a little Star Trek. They've turned the lights down as much as they can to kind of hide the cardboardness of the rocks.
I loved all the matte paintings.
Oh, the matte paintings are incredible.
They were so amazing.
Yes.
just huge. For anyone who doesn't know, a matte painting is like basically when they want to film and not have to build an entire city or landscape.
Or put a planet in the sky.
Yeah, you can just film have someone at the bottom left of the screen or something, and then you put a glass in front of them, like right in front of the camera, and then you paint a scenery on that glass, and then it's an illusion. It looks like that is actually behind them, and it's amazing.
This really felt like a big last hurrah of, I mean, even though it's 84, it was not the last hurrah by any stretch, but you see so many of those classic 80s movies effects. It seemed like almost like it was made for a making of special, because you have matte paintings, you have a miniature in the foreground and then people in the background, so the miniature looks really big. You have stop animation, you have puppets, you have guys in suits with, sweat sprayed on their masks so they look gross.
I mean, this is like what? Is there any CGI in this? There's like everything's either animated, right? Like no. Obviously there's no CGI because there wouldn't be. But I mean, like
that would have looked like Tron.
Even the animated stuff, you have like all you have is you have like a laser, and then you have there's these little sprites, and then I guess anything that would be like maybe glowing that would need to glow. But like really, it's all like everything is freaking practical. Nothing is fake. It's awesome.
There's something about matte paintings, and part of it is I always ask myself, do I like these certain things just out of the nostalgia, or it's like my kid brain kicking in, so I'm like, I like the way this looks. There is something about hand-painted mattes or background effects that will always look so unique because it's just one person's vision. It's not somebody working through a computer, and the computer will always have certain limitations or a certain look to it. Like, yes, they're trying to make things look natural and they're trying to fool you to a certain extent, but you're still just seeing like one person's artwork. I always feel unfettered.
Like the CGI kind of looks. I mean, there's plenty of times where I've watched something and I didn't know something was CGI,
right?
Because it seems like completely pointless to pay someone to do something you can just actually film easily. But for some reason, like, no, we have to draw this cityscape that's 10 miles away from where we're filming when you could just do that. But it does
Hollywood
still,
take notes.
But
you're dumb.
But there is a little bit of a sheen on it or something. Like there's like I feel like you have to like, I don't know, with matte painting, it just seems more kind of magical but I mean, I guess this is just the freaking old, like, like I only listen to records. Music should have pops and hisses.
Of course.
Or whatever.
There's plenty of great CGI that we've never even realized was an effect. That's really great CGI. But you're not going to register it and either praise it or condemn it because it just looks natural.
But also like you can never fully 100% nail the human acting with animation. Like I feel like you can never fully get it. Like it looks fine, and it's
you're talking about your full on like motion capture performance stuff.
Yeah, just anything like that. Like you'll never fully 100% nail it, but you can with a freaking puppet. You can nail it with a puppet because someone's actually holding the puppet and pushing it away. Like.
Yeah, well, that's the Werner Herzog Love and Baby Yoda thing, right? They were on the set of they were on the set of The Mandalorian, and originally they were going to have a puppet Baby Yoda or Grogu on the set, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we don't know if this is going to look great when we finally put this together, so we're also just going to get a shot with nothing where he is in case we want to do him as an animated character instead."
Right.
And apparently, a crazy person, genius, depressing documentary director Werner Herzog said he called them all cowards He apparently loved the puppet. It's like, you must use it.
Yeah, I've heard this story now. This is familiar.
So yeah, he's right there with you.
There's another one that Where the Wild Things Are.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they initially film it where they were just going to kind of animate the faces?
That's usually what they kind of do now, is they augment things.
Yeah. But I think they couldn't get it down exactly, so they but there is footage of what they shot that you can watch.
That makes sense. I could see that being just like a couple years too soon for that sort of technology to really mesh onto a physical thing. I think it would have looked pretty irpy.
Yeah.
That's a movie I need to revisit because I saw it in theaters and I remember liking it fine, but there was also just something kind of unsettling isn't the right word. I don't know. I don't know if I knew how to feel after watching it. I should see it again.
Yeah, it's a very kind of
it seemed so esoteric.
Sundance.
Yeah, maybe it seemed so kind of self-consciously arty that I didn't know who it was for. Like I was
Who made it again?
It was Spike Jonze, wasn't it?
I think so.
Spike Jonze and Karen O. But I'll tell you who didn't have one of the yeah-yeah-yeahs in their music. This is a terrible segue. We can just get back to talking about Did you see who did the music for this, by the way?
What's that?
Did you see who did the music for this? I mean, there's some John Williams cues they've kind of laced throughout, but the guy who did the music for this is Peter Bernstein, who is Elmer Bernstein's son.
Oh, the Ghostbusters guy, right?
He did Ghostbusters, Cape Fear.
I love the Ghostbusters music.
And at the Golden Arm. But Peter, however, got to do the music for Ewok Adventure, Wild Wild West.
I loved it.
Omega Code 2.
Oh, dang. I love the music in this.
It's good. Big sweeping.
It's standard
yeah.
TV special. I love this kind of music.
Yeah, TV special
I always
fantasy.
say that in all these. Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I noticed, and someone brought this up to me, was that in this isn't considered science fiction. I know that everyone argues about fantasy and all this stuff, right? But this one, there's no technology in this. There's a laser gun and then there's a broken ship. Everything else is magic.
Right.
This is like a pure magical world. But magic isn't in the Star Wars movies, right?
No, there's the Force, but this seems more like out and out magic spells. Like they go to a witch doctor. They get magical implements that kind of come to life when they are needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, sci-fi people would never call Star Wars sci-fi ever. Yeah. They would call it a fantasy.
Right.
But this is odd because it is very magic heavy.
Yeah, there's no scenes where you're, trying to fix a robot so I can show you a hologram or something. Like this is just, carry this stone. You might need this smooth stone. And then you'll find out. We'll find out what it's used for.
It is worth saying this screenplay is by a guy named Bob Caravan, and you might wonder what he had worked on before this. Well, what he had worked on before this was putting George Lucas's children to bed, because Bob Caravan was the nanny of George Lucas's children, and that's how he got this job.
Wait, hold on.
I can hold on.
He just said, "Okay, I need someone to write this movie. Who can we get?" And George Lucas was like, "Well, this guy's my nanny, so he gets to write it."
Apparently, George Lucas wanted to do something kind of for kids because he had a daughter who was around the same age as the little girl in this movie.
Okay.
And he wanted to use the Ewoks because, as we said, he can't get enough people in fursuits with a weird language. Yeah. And I don't know how it came to be. I just know that Bob went from nanny to screenwriter in a classic Hollywood tale.
So let's get into the story of this.
Sure.
So how do we open? We open with the parents.
We open with a little bit of narration, which is
By
odd.
who?
Well, here's what's interesting is I remember this. I watched this movie when I was a little kid. I did not see it when it premiered in 1984 because I would have been way too young. I must have seen it on a re-airing.
Yeah.
But we taped it onto VHS and I watched it a lot, but I had not seen it in, definitely well over 20 years.
Yeah.
So I remembered it being a Native American actor doing the narration. It is not. It is a very old and very sleepy sounding Burl Ives. Yes. Folk singer Burl Ives. You know, the guy who went to chop up Bob Dylan's amplifier because Bob Dylan was playing that electric guitar too loud at a folk festival. So they woke up Burl Ives to do this narration. It's odd. I wonder if they made them add this narration because it pops up occasionally, but isn't really necessary. Like, we get what's going on.
No, it's not necessary. I gotta say, I freaking still love it. I don't know why. It's not necessary at all. But his voice, I guess maybe because it seems very Rankin Bass to me. Like,
well, and he did tons of Disney movies.
Yeah, and so just having this cozy grandpa voice, like, tell you what's going on, I'm like, I'll just listen to him read the book.
Can you imagine
the record book?
Giving this guy, let's see, how old would he have been then? Giving this guy in his late 70s these lines, and he just like is going to the recording studio looking at the script for the first time, not knowing what he's talking about. Wicket decided to go to the medicine doctor to see what Tila's. What the hell is this?
I like how you're doing it as a Native American impression.
It's pretty Burl Ives. This is the sleepiest Burl Ives. It sounds like they just like shook him awake and handed him a script.
Yeah. Yeah, it but I love it. I love it.
Well, if you're asking, but the first thing that happens is we see two people with a crashed Star Cruiser at night.
Yes,
on Endor.
Right. And is this the $6,000 a night Star Cruiser that you can ride in at Disney?
Oh boy, have you watched any video of that thing?
I have. I have, but I've hated it so much that I haven't watched much.
Look, this is a tangent we're not going to go on, but I cannot believe just the steel balls of Disney charging $6,000 to be on an improv space hotel. That's all it is. It's improv actors doing Star Wars improv.
And teaching choreographed dances.
Yeah. Oh, and you get to buy like $1,000 outfit for yourself. Your space outfit.
I hate this thing so much.
Anyways, they're very concerned because their children have run away from the crashed Star Cruiser. They don't know where they are. Boy, these actors, the woman playing the mom, I was listening to her performance and going, oof, boy, this woman is really bad. What was she, just like on a soap opera or something? And that was that. I looked it up as like, oh, she's an Irish actress doing an American accent. That's why it sounds weird, because she's this beloved fixture of Irish acting. Like, she was named one of the 25 greatest Irish actors of all time. Well, she ain't bringing it in this.
She looks familiar to me.
Yeah.
Did you look her up to see?
I did.
In terms of,
I'm not going to list all the IMDb stuff. She's in like over 130 movies. So,
but was there anything that you were like, oh my gosh, that's what she was in, or anything?
Yeah, she is in Rhapsody Kids. Actually, that's probably where you know her from.
Rhapsody Kids.
Yeah. She plays beatbox and Janine.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's from. They're not on screen very long because a big giant monster comes out and grabs them. A monster called the Gorax. And Nathan, let me tell you, when you're a little kid, the Gorax is the scariest monster you have ever seen in your life. This is one of those.
I don't remember. Like, I remember being in my basement and this movie coming on.
Yeah.
And me watching it and like thinking about, oh, this is so cool, a Star Wars movie on TV, like a kind of thing. But I do not remember anything except the girl with the blonde hair, the little girl. That's all I remember, Sindel. And can we say like the kids in this movie? Good. The kids in this movie are horrible actors.
The little girl gets away with it only because she is so little.
Yeah, but
barely.
I mean, maybe that's bad direction then.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't. We'll get into the kids in a minute, but we can get into them now. Yeah, because we see the runaway kids soon. It is what are they? Mace and Sindel. Mace is the boy. Sindel is the girl.
And why are there two Maces in this universe in Star Wars? Because there's Mace Windu.
I bet you anything George Lucas forgot that he named another character Mace when he was naming Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah.
Mace, that sounds pretty good. Gosh, it's almost like it's been there the whole time.
That's why this isn't canon. That's the only reason. Somebody reminded him.
So this isn't?
No, it's not canon.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, it's for kids.
That's... Hold on. So we know this isn't canon?
No, it's not canon.
Hold on. You keep saying that, but I'm saying, did you read that somewhere?
Yeah, it's me, George Lucas. I'm saying it's not canon.
Okay.
This is considered... Okay. I don't know what all the terms are here. This is on Wikipedia.
Okay.
And of course, Wikipedia's...
I trust Wikipedia.
Yes, their slogan is check and recheck the facts. If you go down to continuity, and I can't imagine how many times fussy little fingers have typed and retyped this information to their liking. So maybe this will clarify everything. The film was classified as C-canon in the Holocron Continuity Database, and it was officially set in 3ABY. Producer Thomas G. Smith claimed the film shows a young Ewok playing with a toy AT-AT, which would indicate the Galactic Empire had been on Endor by this point. Eric Walker has said that Smith told him that the crew saw the film as being set 150 years after Return of the Jedi, setting it at around 154 ABY. Leland Chi considered using this date for the holocron, but ultimately rejected it due to Wicked's youthful appearance. So, there you go. Asked and answered. Lord. That's when this movie takes place.
Holocron?
Yes. This is C-canon in the Holocron Continuity Database.
So there's... Okay.
What? What do you need?
All right.
What do you need clarified? I get it.
I just love the fact that the person doing the writing sounded so much like Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson is, of course, the Star Trek version of Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
You were in D continuity. Yeah. Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson.
Gosh. So these kids, Mace. So Mace, now, we both said this, that the actor looks, I mean, like a kawaii version of Luke Skywalker.
Well, yeah, we said it off mic to each other, but yeah, he looks like a well-fed Mark Hamill at 14. This actor's name that we're insulting, I guess we're not insulting his appearance. He looks so much like Mark Hamill, it is distracting, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it that they hired. Now it'll be insulting. It's not worth it that they hired him because the kid's a terrible actor. He was in barely anything else. Let's see. Here's where I feel bad for Eric Walker, the kid who played Mace. This is the first line of personal life and career, which is definitely not written by him. Born in 1970 in Upland, California, to father Gene Winston Walker II. Very important. All the fans know that. Oh, Gene Winston Walker II. Well, of course, now I'm listening. Eric began to fulfill his mother's dream that he and his siblings would become actors when he appeared in a Jack in the Box commercial at age 6. Boy, is there a bigger red flag than his mother wanted all her children to become actors. That's where I feel for this poor guy.
Man.
Now, this is one of those people who, and I don't blame anybody for wanting to make money off of their glory period. This guy has leaned into being in this movie pretty hard in the last couple years. He's kickstarted a book called Growing Up on Skywalker Ranch. That's what it was called originally. He retitled it. I forget what it was called. And he petitioned Disney Plus to put these movies, these Ewok live action movies, on Disney Plus. He is the reason that these are now on the channel. And now he's petitioning that they have a Blu-ray release complete with commentary by him and Warwick Davis.
Okay. So well, not the girl. The girl doesn't get to be on it, the commentary?
No, you saw her acting.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I don't know why. I think he and Davis were the same. They were both 14 on the set, and he's uploaded a little mini documentary. George Lucas gave him and Davis a camera, and he said, make a little documentary about being on set, and I'll teach you how to edit some stuff together, which seems very sweet. George Lucas is one of those guys who makes crazy decisions, but he also seems like a giant sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know what? I think he just gets in his own way.
Didn't he wasn't there a time where he was like, he wanted to build some like affordable housing somewhere, and like the city council was like trying to stop him or something?
He was going to build, it was affordable housing and also this massive complex called, this isn't what it was called. It's something like the George Lucas Museum, like a huge thing. I think he was going to be funding it all himself. He was asking for no city money.
Yeah. And
they basically just nickeled and dimed and argued with him for years. And then he finally was like,
well, fine, forget it. I'm not going to do anything.
I guess this won't be canon for your city.
This is going to C-canon, T for the trash can.
Poor guy. He just tries so hard. He cannot get out of his own way. Anyway, this movie is kind of hard to summarize because it's very lackadaisical. It's not like stuff doesn't happen. It's almost like a Studio Ghibli movie in terms of its pacing. They kind of walk from place to place, and they meet the Ewoks and befriend them and talk them into helping them find their parents. And then, it's just kind of traveling from campsite to campsite and getting in little scrapes.
Except the kid, the kid's a total douche this whole time.
So the little girl is a complete angel and looks like one and does nothing bad or that interesting. And then Mace, and I think part of this is on this kid's performance, just yells at these poor Ewoks who are clearly trying to help them at every step of the way.
Yeah.
I can actually cue up. Sound off on what your main issue is with Mace while I find this cue to give you a little taste of his acting.
His acting is, first of all, he makes no facial expressions. His face is exactly the same no matter what's happening. And then tears will appear if he's crying. But his face does not make so if he's going from it's okay, we'll be okay to, hey, leave us alone. It's the same, exactly the same.
Yeah.
And he just it's like he's reading from a cue card. All the lines.
So here's a little taste of Mace's acting. This is when the Ewoks need to seek some counsel as to where their parents might be. So they go to Logray, who is the medicine man of the village, who shows them a vision of their parents in a cage trapped by a monster. Okay, Logray's taking a little talisman.
Be careful with that.
Mace yells at this old man. All right, come on. Here we go. Here we go.
That's Dad. Where is that? What is it?
Hey, that's Dad.
That's Mommy and Daddy.
What is that? It looks like a monster or something real big. Where is it? Where is it?
If we don't help them, they're gonna die.
You picked the perfect scene. It's
That's
that
Dad! What is it?
like
It's
a
real
monster.
big. It looks like a monster or something.
If we don't help them, they're going to die.
Food! Eat! Food! That's when these Ewoks have, after he's tried to beat them senseless, they take him into their house, and then he starts berating them for not giving them food. He goes, eat! Food! Food! Eat!
Yeah, it's bad. That's it. That is in a nutshell all of the acting.
I forgot to say something I also like about the kind of budget consciousness of these sets is they kind of spend their special effects money on the monsters that try to attack them. But when it comes to friendly creatures, it's just like, oh, space owl, space bunny. Oh, they have a space goat.
They have a space ferret.
They do. They give her a space ferret to play with. And by space ferret, we don't mean they've glued little antenna onto a ferret. It's just a ferret. It's just a bunny
And it's in
they've put
space.
on set
Yeah.
to distract these kids. There's stuff that looks really good in this. Like they built a full hang glider that looks like it's made out of sticks and leather that a real actor is flying around on in an Ewok outfit.
Can we talk about that? When there's a couple of times where there's stunt people doing the thing because obviously like a person of like Warwick's stature can't probably comfortably ride a horse very easily. So when
there's a lot of these people who have double credits as stunt
that's fine.
and actor in these. So a lot of these people are doing their own clambering.
Oh, sure. That what I'm saying is though when there is a scene where their caravan takes off because the horse gets scared, and one of the Ewoks jumps on the horse, and it is a grown man in a huge Ewok suit jumping on this horse.
I didn't track that, but that's very funny.
And he has really long legs and really tall torso. It looks hilarious.
Oh God, I have to find that scene. Not right now, but I gotta find that scene.
There's a couple of scenes in this where there are kind of people in the background who are Ewoks. You can tell they are adults. I mean, I'm sorry, not adults. They are
I know what you mean. They're people of regular height. Yeah.
yeah, like they're either like kids that of that height or they're whatever. You can tell that they've placed them in different places.
Yeah, they probably only had so many little people actor on set, and they kind of had to like fill in the background actors, and they put them far away to make them look shorter.
Yeah, and then there's also the scene where Mace it gets catapulted up to a cage where their parents are hanging, and he gets catapulted up to a page, and he lifts him up, and it is a guy with the darkest 5 o'clock shadow.
Right, because you can't ask a 14-year-old to do this big stunt. But yeah.
It looks funny. It's like they got Luke Skywalker they got Mark Hamill in to do this.
I mean, there are plenty of parts that look really janky, but the other parts that don't look janky are, like I said, like the monster scenes. There's this big like pig style boar monster who runs in and stop animation and close up. It's a puppet.
It kind of looks like a puppet from the Land of Confusion video.
He looks like a spitting image puppet, or like a never-ending story ghoul kind of thing.
Spitting image, that's right. Yeah, but it's amazing. It's amazing. It looks great.
A lot of stuff in this movie I really remember really like came back to me as a kid, because there are a lot of things that these kids have happened to them, and they are very canny about picking things that kids actually get freaked out by. Not so freaked out that I was, traumatized by it, but being stuck in a little area with something trying to get at you that's big. One of the kids, Mace falls in this like magic pond, and the pond surface turns to glass, and he's just banging on it, trying to be heard by the other people at the camp. Oh God, that tree that has a hole in it, and then it looks like this little sock puppet makes cooing noises at him. And he tries to grab it, and whatever's in the tree sucks his whole arm in and starts eating his arm.
Yeah. There's all kinds of like little scary little things in this. We're getting into the kind of wrap up time here, so I'm fine with saying like this. Out of all the, I'm not going to sit around and watch this thing a lot or something, but I enjoyed my time with this. Like it's definitely, it's paced for a child for sure. But it's got lots of fun little magical things in it, and it really, I think it really works. I think it would have worked in the theater a little, like a short run in the theater. Maybe, I don't know if it did or not, but I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it really is for kids. They're not trying to hit every quadrant in this. It stars kids. They're looking for their mommy and daddy. They're surrounded by these cutesy creatures. They get into stuff that's a little scary, but it's not too scary. It's very
and they're
simple.
Funny. The little creatures are like, wrestling with each other, getting mad at each other, doing funny little things.
Right. There's a little, like I said, there's a little animated light sprite who they befriend, who like coos and dances around and is a help at the end. So this movie was directed by John Cordy, who was an animator who worked on a lot of kids stuff, and it was produced by Thomas Smith, who was formerly the head of Industrial Light and Magic. So I think that's how they packed so many special effects into this pretty low budgeted movie. They just knew how to shoot it. You have an animator who knows about like getting the maximum amount of frames, or how to put stuff together so it'll all coalesce in a good way. I mean, really, this is more slick than most 1984 movies in terms of how it looks all of one piece.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like, you can tell there's a lot of stuff in this where it's like, doesn't really serve the story necessarily, but it's just cool. It's just cool. Yeah. It's so that's why I like it. Like, it's like the sprite, the little like animated sprite thing. I could not figure at all what it was doing, what the point of it was. I guess there was something towards the end or something. I don't know, but I love those little sprites. I like the little drawing, the little animation in the hand.
Well, when
they were holding the sprites.
At the end, they finally make their way to the mountain where the Gorax lives. And the Gorax is, like I said, one of those classic 1980s rubber suit monsters. It looks good, but also it has a really disquieting feature that I still get kind of irked out by, and it's in almost all 80s and 90s monster movies, where the mask is built to use a human's actual eyes. It isn't fake eyes built into the suit. So you have this creature with this enormous head and this elongated snout, but then the same distance between the eyes. So you get all these creatures in 80s movies who have very tiny human eyes, placed very close together in this giant skulled head.
Yes.
And
they're always super sweaty.
And they're always they're sweating up a
the
storm.
masks are so moist.
And of course, the guy who built this monster is the guy who plays the monster, because that's how it used to work. They were like, yeah, I built it. Now I'm in the movie. Like, I have another actor to do it? No, I built it.
You owe me.
And the guy who directed all the Gorax scenes, which I guess were all slightly slowed down to make him seem bigger and more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guy who directed it was Joe Johnson, who directed Rocketeer and Captain America and a lot of other big movies. This was his little break.
He's a Disney favorite.
I guess the other janky effect is that spider that comes in the spider web, and you see every single string. It looks like one of the Baird marionettes from like Sound of Music is coming down.
It looks like someone bought a fake spider in a Halloween store. And it's
the new kid built that spider at ILM.
Yeah. It's just being dribbled down. And it just kind of bumps into you. Like that's how it gets you. And it kind of flies around.
You were saying, like, I assumed it did well. It did really well. Apparently, they shopped this around to every major network that turned them down, which is really weird. But they were shopping it as a half-hour special, which I don't know how you would do this as a half-hour special. And finally, ABC said, well, I guess we could do it, but make it a 2-hour movie. So that's what they did. And it was the second biggest ratings for a TV movie for ABC that year. They released it overseas in a couple countries theatrically, and I guess it did pretty well. And did
then there was a sequel.
Yeah, they made a sequel the next year, Ewoks Battle for Endor, which we have to watch to see how it stacks up. Not only because we did this, but because Wilford Brimley is in it. And what are we not going to watch? A movie with Grandpa Brimley talking to these little cute little stoats.
And there's a great I don't want to spoil. I mean, I won't spoil what happens in the next one. I haven't watched it.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I think I might have seen it. There's a chance that that's the one I saw.
Okay.
Like there's a chance that that's the one I saw and not this one, but as a kid, I mean. And but later on, Sindel, the little girl, she goes on to, in one of the books written later, in the C-canon, I guess, I don't know, she goes on to become a journalist in the Star Wars universe.
Sure. They were definitely thinking about that when they made this movie. Yeah. She's always saying things like, I'll make a note of that.
And she ends up like writing like some famous book that's about like Star Wars goings on or something.
Of course, because nobody in the Star Wars universe can just be a regular person. Everybody then has to have a destiny to do the craziest, biggest, most life-altering thing possible.
Well, every like I feel like I'm like sometimes I don't understand why she even had to have a future. Like why who cares? Like why does anyone, like, I don't need to know what a janitor on the freaking Death Star is doing 10 years after it blew up.
Yeah.
Did he get off in time?
Well, tell that to the people of Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will.
They want to know.
My favorite thing about Wikipedia is that they have to incorporate Disney World stuff from Tomorrowland into Star Wars canon because it is like the guy from there's like this guy who is a animatronic robot who sings to you in the in one of the restaurants in Tomorrowland. Oh,
so you're talking Sunny Eclipse?
Sunny Eclipse. He's part of the Star Wars universe.
He is?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Is he like a background character in a comic or something?
No, he's just listed on Wikipedia because of Star Tours and all that stuff.
Oh my
If you look
God.
at Wikipedia, he's in there.
Man. Well, this is the kind of hard-hitting facts you come to our podcast for, so
Yeah.
you're welcome, everyone. I like this. Again, this is for kids. If you watch this, don't expect any great shakes, but I could see kids still liking this, right? Or am I I guess kids have a certain attention span. I guess this would be very slow moving to a certain type of child.
I feel like the age of kid that this was for back then is that same age now wouldn't be interested in this.
Okay.
As much. So, so if it was for like 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds or something, nowadays probably like 8-year-olds would more enjoy this.
Oh, I think 12 is too old for this in general.
I'm just picking a random age, but like I think like whatever it was intended for at that time, take a few years off now.
See.
Because there's so much, everything's so much more advanced. That
You're saying
I feel
kids, they grow up so fast these days.
Oh yeah, I do say that. I say that constantly.
You do, and you also wanted to say you wanted to work in your favorite Ewok swears. You said there were certain curses that you were really into.
So if you, my favorite, there's a couple of words. If you watch this with captions, as I always like to do, because for some reason, because I don't have a sound system, so like all of the action is breaks the windows in my house, but all the dialogue is like I have to wear headphones to hear it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't understand that, but so like if you read the thing, it just says like, I forget what it says, but it's some kind of thing like frustrated groan or something like that. It says something like that's not what it says.
Sure.
But it says something to allude to that whatever word they're using is like a swear, or it would be like darn it or shoot or something.
Yeah.
And it's they say it a few times and it's feech. Feech.
You talking about the sound system reminded me of something, and we will wrap on this because I now want to do this. Whenever this premiered on TV, certain radio stations played a audio mix, and you could listen to the radio at the same time as watching this. So it would create a surround sound experience in your home in 1984.
What? Can you get that clips?
I don't know. I just read about that today, but I was like, wow. That's the greatest.
That's like some Flaming Lips level thing.
I know.
Wow, that's amazing. Are there any other words there? Were there any words that you? There was something like Chordu. there's like all these words that they use, like Andy, and like they only have about 5 words, and they use them interchange. I feel like they're just using them rent.
It's like the Smurfs. Thing. Yeah.
Man, if you can find that audio, that would be awesome to watch this with that.
Yeah, I'll dig up even more defunct technology to watch this old movie.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of cutting edge technology, tune in for next week when we're going to be talking about a real doozy of a historical event. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. Producer Jeremy, any final words of wisdom?
Stay off of Wikipedia, folks.
Yeah, he's right.
Fake
he's really
news.
right.
We forgot to mention Jeremy's starting his own kind of OAN style version of Wikipedia.
He's starting 3pedia.
Yeah.
The real scoop.
Have you noticed?
And not
in some films of the Star Wars, Han Solo shoots first.
Oh boy.
No,
and then in other films,
Hey, Jeremy, you can take the emails this week. I'm not looking after that comment.
And those are the exact kind of things Luke Skywalker wants you to be thinking about.
Oh boy, save it for Kevin Smith.
On his January 6th is canon.
Bye.
Bye.